So today's video, I did have something else I wanted to talk about, but I recently, not even recently, just yesterday I think it was, this thought just came to my mind, and I've just been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and yeah, now I just gotta make a video about it because that's the only thing in my head right now. And it's just another parallel video, but this is more of a parallel, not of one thing, because normally we talk about parallels, we talk about, just one arc or one aspect of something, and then we relate to something else in the story. But now I want to talk about the whole story, the whole story of One Piece, and the parallel in the story and how it's repeating, essentially. Okay. So, yeah, there are some parallels right now. If we look at just where we are in the story and how a lot of people have related some of the previous arcs, Alabasta and Dressrosa, and the obvious parallels there. I did plan to do that, but that's too general, so I don't think I'll do that video anymore. But this, I think, is something even more interesting, okay? Because if you look at the first half of the Grand Line and you look at the New World now, the story has basically just repeated itself. And, you can go through with it, and you'll see how everything has come, and everything is similar all over again. And, I do want to go into that, but the story is repeating itself. And, some people look at this as a bad thing. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I think it's a very interesting thing. I think it's good if it's used correctly, because you may have an idea where the story is going, but you don't know because it's not the exact same story. That's why not as many people have noticed this. In fact, I don't know. I haven't really heard anyone talk about this. So, yeah. So, I'm just going to go through some of the things which I feel have been repeated. I haven't made an exhaustive list. I don't want this video to be so long. So I've just made the main highlights, especially now looking that we're in Wano. Some of the highlights of how we got to this point in the story, and just looking at how some of the ideas have been repeated again. Okay, so let me just see. Starting off, when we entered the Grand Line, the first couple episodes was the Reverse Mountain arc. Same thing when we came from the time skip. The first major arc we went into was the Fishman Island. There was the post time skip when they met up on Sabaody, but I'm talking about the main one. And if you look at both of those arcs, both of them had to do with being at the Red Line. One was at the Red Line on the sea level, one was beneath the Red Line. Okay, both of them is kind of like an introduction to what we're going to face. This is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of power. This is the tip of the iceberg in terms of weirdness in the Grand Line, okay, so that was the introduction kind of arc, okay? And then if in the Grand Line, they went from there, they went to Whiskey Peak. There was that arc, which I find a lot like the Punk Hazard arc, because in Whiskey Peak is where they really met Baroque Works. Now they met, I forgot what they were called back then, but Vivi at Whiskey Peak, but not Whiskey Peak, at Reverse Mountain, but at Whiskey Peak is when they knew her as, they not knew her as, but they found out about Baroque Works, and about this organization which, is no good, they gonna take down eventually. And if you compare that to Punk Hazard is the point where where they started building up that we're gonna take down Kaido. Okay, and again, looking at the people they fought on Punk Hazard, those guys didn't require much going out, or full strength of the Straw Hats. They didn't require full strength. They weren't very strong. There were some strong people, but compared to the Straw Hats, not even. Again, similar to Punk Hazard, where they got trapped. A lot of them got trapped. On Whiskey Peak, they got tricked. So there is that parallel there again. So then after Whiskey Peak, they went to... Actually, before that, They went to green bit, but before that, yeah, they also found out. Nah, I'll save that for later. But basically, they went to green bit. Not green bit. Green bit is in Dressrosa. Little Garden. Went to Little Garden, and in the Grand Line. No, sorry. In the New World, they went to Dressrosa, and the two of them are similar again. Similar in that they both met someone who was like really strong. They all almost died. The person who they met there, number 3, Mr. 3, not number 3, Mr. 3, was someone who was not just blindly strong. Like, he had a plan, he thought it out, he trapped them. Like, there was a whole thing to it. Okay, similar to Dressrosa, where they were in that kind of dire situation. Okay. Now, of course, with Dressrosa, it's different. And if you look at Mr. 3, if you think about it, Mr. 3 is one of the highest ranking officials in Baroqueworks. He is number 3 after Crocodile in terms of strength in Baroqueworks. If you look at the Beast Pirates, a lot of people argue that Doflamingo could be around 2nd Yonko Commander level. So I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that a lot of people say that. And if that's true, that means he'd be stronger than Jack, putting Doflamingo at number 3, essentially. If you have Kaido, then after Kaido, the next 3 are King, Queen, Doflamingo, number 3. So in this sense, literally Doflamingo is Mr. 3. Who trapped the Straw Hats, toyed around with them for so long, almost killed them, and was Luffy versus, Mr. 3, while everyone was stuck on the cake. In Dressrosa, everyone was stuck in the birdcage. Right there, okay? After Green Bit, they went to Drum Island in the Grand Line. New World, they had Zoe. I'm not going to count Zoe for other reasons, I don't really see the direct parallel, but I'll skip that and I'll go to Whole Cake Island. Now, parallel between Drum Island and Whole Cake Island is that when they arrived on the island, it had nothing to do with this ongoing battle that they were facing. So in the Grand Line, going to Drum Island had nothing to do with beating Crocodile. And in this one, going to Whole Cake Island had nothing to do with beating Kaido. It had to do with saving one of their crewmates. In Drum Island, they were trying to save Nami. She was sick, she was poisoned. They needed to find a doctor. In Whole Cake Island, they're trying to save Sanji, he was trying to save his family, but, they wanted to rescue Sanji. So it has to do with rescuing their crewmates and had nothing to do with this mission that they had going on at the time, okay? And it also has a very deep character arc for Sanji in Whole Cake Island and one for Chopper in Drum Island. Yeah, very interesting there. And yeah, I mean, you can probably look deeper into the specific characters and maybe some of that. Not going too deep into that, but just the basic thought that these two islands had nothing to do with the ongoing journey and were just like kind of like side arcs, side things. And if you look at actually more, if you look at when they went to Drum Island is when they got Chopper. When they went to Whole Cake Island is when Jinbei when Jinbei joined them. So on both of these, they did get a new crewmate as well. Okay. What happened next? After that, you see they finally go to Alabasta. They finally go to Wano, which is now where we are in the story in terms of arcs. And who knows, maybe if you dissect Alabasta enough, if you reread, I'm probably going to rewatch everything just to see. And you see a lot of the things that are similar if you look at, for example, Alabasta, there was a rebellion. Here, there's the samurai which are going to go on the raid. The raid is similar to the war that was had in Alabasta. And, there's people who are leading it instead of Kinemon. Now, here you had Kinemon. Now, in the past, you had Koza, who was leading the rebellion. What else did you have? You also had Luffy versus Crocodile the first time. If you remember the first time Luffy versus Crocodile, he's just like, if I beat him now, we can get this over and done with. I don't have to fight him later. I don't have to stop him later. And he said such a similar thing in this arc in Wano, where he went to fight Kaido, and he's like, if I beat Kaido now, we won't have to beat him later on again. So even the words he's using are so similar. Oh my goodness. Can't believe I didn't realize this earlier. And I mean, I guess that's as far as we are right now. We're building up to the raid, and we'll probably see some stuff at the raid. And maybe there is ground, because some people say that he's gonna lose again to Kaido, then he'll finally win. Maybe that's gonna happen, because that's what happened with Crocodile. He lost twice before finally winning. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe the way he'll beat Crocodile won't be like brute strength, like his own strength, and he'll find like somehow like Kaido's weakness, like the way he found Crocodile's weakness, something like that. So he will beat him, but he won't really be stronger. But anyway, this is just an interesting thing that I thought, because looking at the whole story, it seems like we're repeating and we're going the exact same way. So questions, does this mean that, maybe not the next arc, but the arc after that, in the Grand Line, they went to Skypiea and they made Enel? Does that mean in like an arc or two, like Enel is going to come back into the story again because he's still out there? Does this mean that the Marineford War at the end, towards the end of the Grand Line arc, Grand Line kind of saga, kind of bit of the story, is going to be like what, the final war at the end? Is that how it's going to happen? I mean, there's a lot to dissect, and yeah, maybe I'll make a video thing what I think is going to happen and how it's going to play out, because there is definitely parallels. But then again, like I said, it's not a terrible thing, because if you look at it, it's obvious, but it's not obvious, because Oda has used like the same kind of story again, but he's changed it so much, and he's like mixed it. He's taken inspirations from so many places that the story feels original, even though it's repeating itself. It feels so original. So he can also him also just deviating from everything that he's doing right now and repeating the story is also an option. So oh yeah, guys, and isn't it just interesting how it's called the New World, but the story isn't that new at all? So yeah, just like the way the whole story is repeating, I found that interesting. And yeah, that's about it for this one, guys. So all the regulars, subscribe, like the video if you liked it. If you know you have that one friend that needs to hear the truth, please share the video with them, and I'll see you guys in the next one.